Make my day, let me be the one we can hear. It's all
Greetings. Uh, Tonight I want to make a video. Uh, I'm going to call it What Are We? At least I think I'm going to call it What Are We? That's the name that I'm leaning toward. You'll know if I change my mind because you'll already have seen the title, but I think I'm going to call it What Are We? And I want to talk a little bit about, um, without getting too deep, but I do want to talk a little bit about the meaning of existence. I don't profess to be a guru, or I haven't trained with somebody with a long white beard up on a mountaintop. I'm just an average Joe. And uh, I have to believe that I'm not the only average Joe that spends time contemplating the nature of life and what's it all about, Alfie, and things of that nature. Um, and I've seen a little bit of it bounced around. I've seen some of it bounced around on YouTube. Coming from pretty learned people and people that are really into the meditation and the channeling and the light seekers and such, and that's outstanding. I learn a lot every time I watch or listen to one of them. But I have to believe that many of you, just regular, Joes and Janes that are going back and forth to work each day in your quiet moments, ask these questions too. So I hope that maybe I can generate some discussion. I'd also like to say in the beginning here, I'd like to invite you to the new website, which is under fallingawake1000.com. It's brand new. I just put it up, so there's not a whole lot there. But I would really appreciate it if anybody that's listening to this video here, probably on YouTube, would stop by fallingawake1000.com and do two things: bookmark it, and please sign the guest book. There's nothing more humiliating than having a guest book with I'm the only guy that's ever signed it. So do me a favor and do that, and then make sure you check back, because I'm going to have some blogs and try and get some good discussion, a two-way street, so that it's not just me talking, but me listening and learning as well. So with that being said, what are we? What do you think we are? When I say we, I'm talking about humans, mankind. What's our purpose here? Uh, are we part of something bigger than us? Uh, I know there's fundamentalists that believe that we are spiritual beings encased in a meat suit, for lack of a better term, and that if we live righteously, we'll go to a place with golden roads and live eternal life. And if we live wrong, we run the risk of burning for eternity in hell. Multiple religions with multiple philosophies, and I don't want to down any of them, but I've had or developed some theories, that go all the way back to when I was a very young teenager, in terms of what we are and why we are. And one of the things that I find interesting about us is when you look at life, and specifically human life for the purposes of this conversation, if you look at it on the micro, uh, down into a molecular level, you can see, you start to notice that there's similarities between the micro and the macro. Um, when you look at the percentage, and I'll get the numbers wrong, so don't fault me on the exact numbers, but it's the concept I'm trying to impart to you. But let's say that we're, 75% water. Our bodies are made up of 75% water. Is it merely a coincidence that the planet that we live on is equal to the same percentage of water? Here the Earth is 75% water. Our bodies are 75% water. And now follow the similarities as I've seen them. Our planet it rotates on its own axis once every 24 hours, and it revolves around the sun every 365 days. And if you go into the micro, into the molecular level, and you look at that word almost got caught, didn't it? Got tongue tied there. Molecular level. If you look at that, there are some very similar actions taking place when you look at um, molecules and how they behave, and atoms and how electrons rotate around atoms, and or atoms are spinning around their nucleus, throwing off electrons every now and again. And that's all happening extraordinarily fast, as compared to what's happening on the macro with our planet revolving on its axis, and then rotating around the sun. But I want to share something with you that I've talked about my entire life, it seems like. I mean, back when I was a young 10, 11, 12, 13 year old sitting on the porch with my friends, we'd talk about this. I kind of have to believe that a lot of what we see or perceive is based in large part, if not totally, on the perspective of where the viewer is. In other words, the person viewing the event. And we have to get into a little bit of theoretical physics here because we can't, prove these things out at this point. But let me illustrate it in total layman's terms. Um, I want you to picture what I'm talking about here, where you've got the planet revolving around the sun, and it takes 365 days to go around that sun. And from our perspective, it seems to be happening very slowly. But I believe that it's probable, that if could extend your body into the absolute infinite heights, so that you were so big that the planets in comparison to you were the size of molecules in comparison to us, that because your perspective would be so different, you'd be looking at the solar system through a microscope, that you would the rotation on the Earth's axis and the revolutions around the sun would actually appear to be happening at a much faster rate because of the perspective that you have. Let me break it down a different way. If you are in a forest and you're standing next to a 300-foot tree, I want you to visualize this. And a lumberjack is cutting this tree down. When he yells timber and you look up, you're going to see that tree. From your perspective, you're standing under the tree. It's going to start to fall slowly. You're going to hear the wood cracking and splitting, and it's going to fall faster and faster until it falls down. So it'd be timber. Can you see that in your mind's eye? But if you stand a pencil up right now, I don't know if I have a pencil available, but I thought I had one. But you can get the idea, I think, without me demonstrating it. Here's one right here. If you, I apologize. I told you I wasn't sure where this was going, but okay, now my pen's gonna fight with me. Oh well. All right, I lost that fight. Oh, here's one. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, I apologize. Maybe I'll try and edit that out. But if you here, let me bring my computer down. If you look at this pen, if you let the pen go and you yell timber, it goes boop. You see how fast it falls? So timber, not much time at all. And remember, in comparison to the tree, the 300-foot tree, which fell very slowly. Yeah. Okay. So again, bringing us back to perspective, and as a point of reference, where we are when we're observing these things. I offer that if we were the size of a molecule standing next to the pen, and again, this is all hypothetical, it's the only way we can do this. So if the pen is here and we're a molecule-sized person standing next to it and we let it go, timber, I believe that our view would be of this. It would fall very, very slow. Okay? And again, what does that mean? I think there's some importance there, because that opens up the door to the conversation of time and space. I mean, which is the real speed here? Or what are we talking about here? Is the pen falling fast, or is the pen falling slow? Is the tree falling slow? If we could again extend our bodies up into space infinitely and become so big that standing next to the 300-foot tree, the tree would be the size of this pen. I think if you had the little lumberjack cut the tree down, the giant you would see the tree fall as fast as the pen falls. Does that make sense? So the tree falls very slow from our vantage point. but it falls very fast from the vantage point of the giant that's watching it fall. I mean, it would be preposterous to see the pen falling at a slow rate of speed at this size. Yeah? Let's look at it a different way. If you could go back in time and watch as a caveman, a prehistoric man, was sitting there, and a fighter plane was going across the sky. You brought a fighter plane with you when you went back in time, and you had your fighter pilot buddy fly from north to south. And it's leaving a contrail. When the prehistoric man who has no knowledge of flight, when he looked up and he watched that plane flying by in the distance, he would see a little object moving at a relatively slow speed from left to right. But we know that that plane is going in excess of 500 miles an hour, let's say. But because that prehistoric man has absolutely no knowledge of the realities of aircraft and flight and jet propulsion, he will go to his grave believing that he saw a little insect-like object just out of reach. And sorry about that, I got a bad shoulder here. Just out of reach, flying along. He couldn't reach it, but he could see it. Now, if he could move closer to the plane, to the area that the plane is flying by, as he went closer, he'd see the plane start to go by faster. So eventually, if he got to within, a mile of where the plane was going to cross from left to right, wow, he'd realize, you see. So what is the real speed of the aircraft? What is real? And hopefully I'm making sense. I'm sort of proposing some questions here, actually, in this video. What is the real event? Is the plane flying slow? Is the caveman wrong? Did he see something flying slow? Or is it really flying fast? Or does it depend totally on where the viewer is, as I'm proposing? And these may not be original thoughts. I don't know. As I get older and I read, I run into things that from time to time where, hey, that's what I used to talk about when I was a kid. But nevertheless, it doesn't matter. The point is, think of the ramifications of what I'm talking about. If in fact the planets are rotating on their axis, say the Earth is rotating on its axis and going around the sun, acting much like molecules and atoms, if we could extend our size, our imaginary size, to so big that the planets were the size of molecules, we would see the Earth going around the sun so fast, spinning around the sun at an incredible rate of speed. Yeah. Which is weird, because if that's what just like, for example, let's go the other way. Let's go into the human body and go find a molecule in our bloodstream and just keep getting smaller and smaller in our little shrinking machine. And if we could get it so small that the molecules themselves were the size of planets in comparison to us, I have to believe that we would see atoms spinning and rotating and doing their thing at a very slow rate. We could shrink down small enough to where it might take 365 days to travel the entire circumference of a molecule. So what does that mean? If we did that, we would know that the molecules in the whole star system in our bodies, the whole solar system, was part of a body. We knew it because we got in our little shrinking machine and we went into our own bloodstream. So if we could expand out and we think about the distance, the amount of space between astral bodies, in the solar system, does that mean that when we talk about the infinite, space being infinite, and no way to reach the end of space, is that because, almost like Horton Hears the Who, is it possible that we're a dust speck? Again, these aren't, the concept of us being part of something bigger is not an original thought, but it's something that needs to be looked at because this also encompasses the concepts of religion. What would that mean? What would the ramifications of us turning out to be the cuticle on a giant animal roaming through a forest, and some other in a world we couldn't even imagine? What would the ramifications be? Who would our God be? Would our God be the creator of everything, as this is my belief? I'm not threatened by any of the possibilities, so I'm not threatened by the thought of aliens coming and introducing themselves to us as a population, because it doesn't question my belief in the creator. The creator is the creator of everything. So I have room for aliens, and I have room for us being part of a stain on a giant sock in the grand scheme of things. So I don't know how long I've actually been. We're probably about 15 minutes or so. So I'm gonna bring this to an end so that I have enough space to fit it on a video that I can post on YouTube. But maybe if you could make a video response, that would be awesome. I do want some responses. You know, I'd love to hear. There's some great people on YouTube, and I have some outstanding folks that have sent me messages and connected with me through Falling Awake 1000. Just some brilliant people, and I love hearing from you. And it's not to feed my ego. Talk to me, talk to me. My friends. It's interacting with my fellow humans, and it means something to me. And if you can make a video response and share your thoughts with all of us, that would be awesome. And if you can't, or you don't want to, um, at least give us a written response, and give us your thoughts about what we are. And that's what I'll call the video. What are we? And in the meantime, things to remember. Check out the website, fallingawake1000.com. Um, I just, and like I said, I'm not selling anything there. I'm trying to create a place so that all the people that I connect with on YouTube, that we have sort of a home base to operate from. And then also I want to start doing some blogs, and somebody referred to what I'm doing here as a vlog, and I'm such a computer nerd, or actually not a computer nerd, a guy that doesn't know much about this stuff. I'm learning it, that I wasn't even aware that I was doing a vlog. I'm still not sure what that means. Video blog, I guess. But at any rate, thank you so much for sticking through this and listening. If you've listened this far, I appreciate it, because I know I probably wasn't very clear. But thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing from you. Be safe.
Make my day, let me be the one we can hear. It's all plain till we close the door behind us and think over shit.